challenges in a changing LTL market. Here to talk about that today is Kent Williams, who is Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Averitt. Welcome, Kent.
Thank you, Helen. Good to be here.
Thank you. Kent, tell me what's going on with LTL capacity post the Yellow bankruptcy?
Well, things are settling down. We really got off to a bit of a slow start in 2023, and there was, in all honesty, kind of ample capacity in LTL, or at least reasonably ample. And then, Yellow was the third largest carrier in the country when they went out, and of course, a lot of concern about all those 30,000 employees. But the industry was able, I think, to absorb it fairly well. I mean, every carrier had a nice infusion of shipment count. We probably jumped up about 1,500 shipments a day, but we had built in the capacity to handle that. So I think that the industry's kind of right-sized. As unfortunate it is when a carrier goes out of business, I think it made the industry much more healthy. And I think things have, a lot of folks were afraid of a calamity, and had this happened in 2022 or 2021, it'd have been a mess. But
Right.
I think most of that business has found a home, and everything's okay.
And it's not as if we didn't see it coming. I mean, it was
Oh,
being
yeah.
talked about for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah, for years and years, but
Right.
they kind of kept they kept fighting and kept defying the odds. But this was the last 3 months, you could kind of tell the writing was on the wall, and that kind of helped too with the transition, because I think a lot of shippers started trying to be preemptive on that. They didn't want to get caught with shipments stranded in the network when it did finally declare bankruptcy. So that kind of made it more of a gradual event.
So in light of these strange events, and as you say, 2022 would have been
Yeah.
a disaster, and
Yeah.
now it's interesting that Yellow went bankrupt when it did. What do you think are the best carrier-shipper relationship strategies to ride these bumps and events?
We believe that when shippers and carriers move away from a transactional relationship to much more of a strategic relationship, it creates lasting and meaningful partnerships. And the best way to do that is for the shipper to share their data, so the carrier understands exactly what it is that they're pricing, what they're taking on via the RFP, or just any kind of a bid response. And then work through particular issues that you may have involving with the contractual language or accessorial fee schedule or whatever it might be. But sit down, get in the room, work on those things. Obviously, a shipper wants to find a carrier that they feel like will meet or exceed their service expectations. But sometimes it seems like they feel good about somebody, but they just don't sit down and kind of hammer through these last few details that can really hold up what could end up being a fantastic partnership. But I think when the shippers and carriers can work together and work at a common goal, let's make this partnership work, let's provide the best service to both of our respective ultimate customers, then it benefits both parties.
But
greatly.
let's talk about some of that data sharing. I want to dig into that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Okay.
What kind of details are you talking about that end up sinking these great relationships?
Well, when a shipper approaches a carrier with a request for proposal or bid, our pricing folks often have to work off a set of assumptions without complete data. Where are these shipments going? What's the average size? What's the density? How many shipments per stop? We don't know which consignees we'll be delivering to, so we don't know if there's any economies of scales. Hey, we're already going to this customer every day anyway, so these shipments will move at a reduced cost. But when they share us complete data files and we can see all of their shipments, they obviously can remove the pricing activity out if they want to do that. But just so we see, origin zips, destination zips, pieces, weight, density. Now we can make informed decisions that can often allow us to be more aggressive. Or, if we find out, hey, these two states don't work for us, or these particular lanes don't work for us, we can still come to terms and find win-win where, those lanes might be a better fit for another carrier. We'll come back with the best possible price and solution we can in the lanes that work well, and perhaps somebody else is a better fit for the lanes that don't work well. So it could be just really, collaboration could really, I think, solve a lot of problems.
So why would a shipper not be sharing that kind of level of data?
I think in some cases they don't have it readily available, although that's becoming less and less of an issue. In some cases, I think they could fear, well, it might give them the answers to the test. Well, not really at all, especially if you're not sharing anything involving price. If you're just sharing the characteristics, you're going to be helping yourself, I think, by allowing your carriers to make an informed decision. Perhaps some might think, well, if we don't give them the data, then maybe they'll be overly optimistic in their estimation of what the costs are for handling our shipments. And honestly, the way most pricing folks work, accountants by nature, it's probably not going to happen. So I think they're going to get the best. They will get the best deal for their company, I think, if they share as much data as they can with their carrier partners.
Right. So do you think that reluctance is a sign of we still have, because of these cycles that keep happening,
Right.
we have an essentially combative, or it's tempting to have a combative relationship between shippers and carriers.
Yeah,
Do you see that changing at all?
It's always been cyclical, and I've done this now for quite a long time, and there's always upsides and downs, up cycles and down cycles. I really believe that many astute shippers are getting past that, and they are seeing the value in long-term strategic relationships, and I believe carriers are as well. And I think that when we do that, we make each other stronger. It's healthier for the industry. I think it provides better service to the ultimate customer, whether that's a business or a consumer. I think it will leave that shipper in a better position when the next capacity crunch comes, because they've formed a partnership with the carrier, and the partnership can be long lasting, it can be strategic. Quarterly business reviews, we get together 3-4 times a year, we sit down, talk where our respective pain points, and when that capacity crunch comes, those are the folks we want to make sure that we have capacity reserved for them, that we continue to perform. And we certainly don't want to become transactional with folks who have been good solid partners with us through the weaker times.
Right, so we talked about the responsibility of shippers to improve that relationship. Let's talk about carriers for a minute. Why can't they reduce rates when there's plenty of capacity around?
Well, obviously supply and demand, one would think, sets price and drives price. But one of the things that's been a real challenge for the carrier side is our costs just continue to escalate. This latest UPS contract, even though that's the parcel side of the business, but with these drivers now scheduled to make $170,000 over the next 5 years, don't think there's not a ripple effect into the LTL space, the truckload space. So they kind of set the bar for driver wages. The cost of equipment, tractor costs just from 23 to 22 is up about 11%. Straight truck costs were up almost 30%. So costs continue to escalate, even though there is available capacity. There's not enough available capacity to really overcome some of these cost increases that we've had. So the best thing we can do is just work with the shippers, and again, look for win-win propositions. It's like, hey, we could use some additional freight in these particular lanes, and maybe we can have some pricing concessions there. But to be able to come in and just say, yeah, business is so soft, we can come in and wholesale cut prices, you just simply can't, because of the cost components that are out there.
Well, you still have the hardware,
sure.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you give me some idea, how can shippers get out ahead of the next capacity crunch? Have you got any tips?
I think it's collaboration. It's trying to be a shipper of choice. One thing they can do is move towards digitalization. It's very hard for a common carrier, LTL or truckload, to eliminate the hours and the miles associated with the drivers, the dock associates. But back office functions are an area where there can be savings. And one of the ways we can help that is to go to much more of a digital world. As hard as it is to believe, the LTL network, it's still pretty paper intensive, and we're working really hard to take all the paper out of the system. We've gone to paperless delivery receipts for our drivers. All the drivers have tablets, but still, if shippers are giving us 25,000 pieces of paper every single night that we have to enter the system, there's a lot of savings there that could be had if we could get e-bills delating. So I think that's one of the things they can do. And just that continued collaboration to make sure that, when you're meeting with a carrier on a regular basis, you guys are going to develop a bond and a trust, and it's going to be strong. And I think then that they'll be in a much better place when the script does flip, so to speak, and there is a capacity crunch.
Thank you. So, Kent, tell us a little bit about Averitt.
We are, our company's made up of 5 verticals, our largest of which is LTL, and that's what we're best known for. We're primarily in the South. We cover all points, Virginia, Kentucky, through the southern tip of Florida and out to Texas, Oklahoma. We also have gateway facilities in places like Chicago, Peoria, Milwaukee, St. Louis, but primarily in the South. We also have a full truckload vertical, about 1,100 drivers that perform in a more traditional over-the-road truckload fleet. We have a dedicated fleet that's about 1,400 drivers that will, when the customer decides that they want the reliability and the convenience of a private fleet, but they don't want the liability or they don't want to deal with driver shortages, that kind of thing, they outsource that. And we do quite a bit of business in that space. We have a distribution, fulfillment, and portside space. We will dray at all the ports in the South as well as do transloads. About 3 million feet of warehousing under roof that we do, predominantly in the southeastern port facilities: Houston, Savannah, Charleston, Jacksonville, Norfolk, etc., as well as some of the major metropolitan areas in the South: Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas, Louisville. And then we have a non-asset group that is our brokerage division and our international and our expedited product, where we can handle shipments from anywhere in the world for our customers. LCL, full container, intermodal, that we use our vetted transportation partners for that. So a lot going on at Averitt Express. We really pride ourselves in our service. One of the big things in our industry is the Quest for Quality Awards. We won 5, and there's no carrier in the world, it's a global award, that won more than 5. Only 3 other carriers, I think, won 5. So really proud of that for a reasonably, not small anymore, but from a local Cookeville, Tennessee company to win 5 Quest for Quality Awards is something we're really proud of. We take care of our people. We believe in partnerships, and it's just a.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Kent, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
I've been talking about challenges in a changing LTL market with Kent Williams of Averitt. Thank you for watching.